How's it going, guys? SharpWind is back with our suggested Imator tutorials. Now a lot of you guys requested fighting. Now keep in mind that I'm doing all of this for fighting. Now last week we got jumping, as I have it over here, and this week we have transitions and flips, and the next time just might be talking about fighting itself. So the reason I'm doing all of this before I'm actually going to introduce the fighting is because you have to know about the holder jumping trick and the transitions and all that before you actually move on to fighting. I mean, it's kind of complicated. You have to know these steps in advance. So I'm just gonna open up this jumping / tutorial fighting whatever. I'm just gonna make one frame here, and let's say one frame, 2 seconds, and then just moving forward, something like this. Look, he's just moving. So how do you actually use transitions? Well, you click on this frame. The transitions are going to be counting forward. I mean, so if I apply the transition here, this movement from 0 to 40 is going to be affected by it. If I put the transition on 40, nothing would happen because it would affect everything beyond that certain point. So you apply transitions on the key before the movement happens. So how do you get to those? Well, here's this keyframe button down here. And there you have it, that's your transition. As you see, when I open it up, you have no idea what any of these are. Like, what the fuck is going on, man? Well, but let's just keep it easy, because it's actually pretty logical. Let me explain. You have your linear transition. It means he's always going to be moving at the same speed. Look. The movement is literally linear. It's moving at the same speed. Now, let's say if I move it to instant. Wait, instant. Nothing's gonna happen until when he's already there, because the movement is instant. He just appears there. I mean, when the keyframe actually takes place. So let's say this is linear. He's moving at the same speed. What if I go to ease in? Well, theoretically, what should happen is he would start slow and then keep increasing its speed, and that's what's happening here. As you see, he's going slower and then he speeds up. And the ease out is quite the opposite. It goes out fast and slows down at the end. As you see, that's it. That's all there is. And of course the ease in and out, which stops and starts slowly. I mean, he starts slowly and stops slowly. I mean, if I look at this, linear or with the transition, what looks better? And what we have here is just the stronger effects. I mean, this was ease in, yeah, and this is a stronger ease in. I mean, it's the same effect, it's just stronger. I think the Quint one was much more intense. So next one we have circular, which is just I don't know how to explain. You can see what's going on, right? I mean, it's kind of hard to explain. You have to try this for yourselves. I mean, now below this circular one are the ones you're probably not gonna need, probably ever, except maybe those A's back, but we'll get to those, is those elastic ones. Let's, A's out elastic is the one that pretty much demonstrates the best. So, if I put this, it's like he's on a rubber band, look, if we did this in A's in, it's pretty much the same, except it goes reverse. Yeah, and A's in and out does the same. It starts and ends in a rubber band motion. Now we have the ease in back. What happens is he's gonna go backwards first before he goes forward. And here he goes forward and comes backwards to the point. This is the final point. He goes past beyond that point and returns back. And now the final one, which is bounce, which would be better if we just ease out. Like, basically he just falls on the ground. But don't use this in animations because he's so freaking still like a goddamn statue and it looks freaking ugly. Yeah. Okay, I've put something together to test our knowledge about transitions. Let's say I want this Steve to rotate and, you know, like just put his arms close together so he gets that fast rotation move or whatever. So he's gonna rotate those 30 frames and I'm gonna make him rotate a bunch of times, like 2 full circles. Yeah, that was 2 circles. And now what I'm gonna do, this is the center, the 15, right? And we're gonna use transitions to make him move. So what do you do about the arms? Well, at the center, the arms would go closer together, right? I mean, that makes sense because that's how you gain speed when you rotate. I mean, that's basic physics. Well, if I did this, Looks ugly, I mean, yeah, right. Let's add some effects, like A's in, so it's the arms come in closer, I mean slower, and then A's out and they go out. You know what the transitions do. I'm basically just applying those transitions to the arms. And how to apply that to the body as well? I mean, first he has to rotate slowly, and in the middle he has to rotate really fast, and in the end he just has to slow down again. So we would use something like an A's in and out, just a proper one. Like this one, probably. Wouldn't be strong enough, so let's go for something stronger, like an A's in quint. Too much, basically. Let's try the circular one. I mean, he has to move at the beginning as well, so that kind of makes sense. Maybe let's increase this one, because I kind of think it's not enough. A's in quart and A's out quart. I mean, yeah, that looks much more realistic. And now the line here. Looks freaking derpy, doesn't it? Okay, I put our test dummy in a kind of relaxed position as I did the previous time with the jumping. Anyway, let's try the flips now. I'm gonna make a backflip. I made him squat down, look, I made him squat down right here. And I'm gonna use the A's in and out transition because he can start really fast, but he has to stop slowly as well. So he's squatting down, and the body is gonna go slower. I mean, the body has some delay over the legs and all that. We learned that the previous time, and so does the head and both the arms. The arms have to go back. They both have the A's in and out transition. I mean, logically, because he has no motion in the beginning, so he has to start slowly, and he stops at the end, so that kind of makes sense. From here, he's just gonna jump up. So extend his legs. I know it looks derpy sometimes, but you fix it at the end. It's never that freaking weird. And now when he jumps, all the frames have to be aligned. Yay! Now, what transition would you use here? He starts slowly, but he has to stop instantly because he still has motion. That's why we would use A's in quadratic. So what you do if you wouldn't have that holder jumping trick? I mean, this is a stationary jump, so we could just move him up and down. Wait. This is where he stays still, and I'm just gonna move him up in the meanwhile. Put an A's out and an A's in, so I made a jump here, whee, as you see. Now in between, his body has to rotate. So by the end, I have to rotate him, but if I would rotate this thing, he would just go under the ground. That's not freaking okay. I have no other choice but to rotate the legs and the body partially. So I rotate 360 degrees and the legs as well. And what I did is actually gave him a movement here. But this isn't a nice flip. Let's look at this. I mean, sure, if you're a beginner and you think this is cool, well, go ahead. It's your animation, not mine. But I think this looks freaking derpy, and I'm not gonna use that. Well, when you do a backflip, you always do what? You have to tuck in, right? I mean, I do parkour, I also know how to do this. And you also have to animate it so it looks like this. Well, you don't have any transitions, because if you would try to use the transitions here, you would also stop the rotating, because that's one bad point of it. That's why I would recommend you using the holder technique. Well, anyway, still looks like a backflip. I mean, if you don't have any other resources, you can use this as well. But don't forget to animate the head and the arms as well. So, the arms and the head don't take part in the rotating. That's why you can apply transitions to those. And in the end, I make him, you know, just landing a bit. Something like this. Now just basically add the final crunch. I mean, when he goes down, because he stops himself in the flip. Oh yeah, guys, be careful. When he stepped, I mean, he landed here. That's why when he ducks, he also has to be on the same point. I mean, look. Because that's where he was, and that's where he has to be now. And be careful not to reset this X value, or else it's gonna do a 160-degree flip. Okay, transitions. When he lands, he has a lot of motion, which he has to stop, so A is out. And of course he doesn't have any motion, which means he's starting, but he's stopping slowly, so A is in and out, so yeah, some of that. I didn't try my best here. Okay, the body can go a little bit more down. And maybe just, you know, don't overreact with those. I like to put the delay a bit larger, so his arms come back slower. Okay, let's just improvise here. Why am I trying to make this nice? It's just a tutorial. Anyway, now when I apply the final transition, it should look something like this. It looks like a pretty nice backflip. I don't have much time. I can do much better, trust me, but this is just for tutorial purposes only. So just to show you that it's possible to make better things, I made another one. So the first one just makes a regular backflip, and this one I kind of tried a little more for this, but now he made a double backflip and he landed perfectly, look. Just to show you it's all possible to animate in Imator. So he crunches down and jumps up. This part is the same with both of them. And he goes up and just makes 2 turns here. So the upper motion is made with the body. So the body goes up with an A is in and A is down motion. You can do that. And first I just spinned his body parts twice and placed them in this position here. Then I just crouched him in mid-air. So I got this. All of this. The motion of the body is linear, and from here on I just, made him stand down. Okay, wait, maybe I can put this delay here, if it looks any better. Yeah, a little better, does look a little better. Well, from where he lands is just an A's out transition, and just put him in the position he was, so this. It looks nice, it's a great flip tutorial, transition tutorial, so you got all you need. And I think the next time I might try fighting, which is pretty hard because there's a lot of detail and a lot of things to consider. It's gonna be a really long tutorial if I do it, and I might skip out a lot of important things. So I'll try to make it happen, and we'll see about it later. So thank you for watching, guys. Comment what I should do, and well, basically that's it. Stay sharp. Bye.